Alright, in today's video I'm going over one of my acquisitions I've been meaning to make a video on. It just slipped through my mind, and every time I get an opportunity something pops up. So here it is. This is a John Deere GX95 riding mower. It's got a couple changes to it, but it does the job. It's got a Kawasaki engine. Although it says John Deere, it's actually a Kawasaki engine. Single cylinder, 12.5 horse. I like it better than the Briggs and Kohler engines that are comparable in horsepower and size. Only downfall is it's very hard to start when it's cold outside, or even when it's slightly warm. It can be very difficult to start. Sometimes you got to give it gas into the throat of the carburetor to get it to start. And sometimes if it's a warm day, it'll actually start with the choke. But it takes a minute. So I got to figure out what that's about. This was given to me. I traded some 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engines for this. And I bought it, or not bought it, I traded some parts for it. And now it's mine. And I do not plan to sell it because I need it for like smaller parts of my yard, or if I go to a friend's house to cut their grass or something. So it looks like it's got a spot where you can put an oil filter on there. That's nice. It appears is that little where them 2 bolts are. Right here. Yeah, that's probably where you can put an oil filter, because it says it has full pressure lubrication, even though it doesn't have an oil filter. So, and it's got a Mikuni carburetor. It's got a pressure lubrication. It's got electronic ignition too. When I got this thing, I had to clean the carburetor, put a new fuel pump on it, had to put a battery in it, but luckily it works, and it works good. Only problem I have with it right now is that sometimes the blades will spin slowly while the blades are disengaged, or the PTO has been disengaged. A couple things I added to it was lights. So all I have to do is just turn that on, turn my lights on, and if you look, there's a light right there. And when I flip this off, the light is off. So it's got a 30-inch mulch compatible deck, is what they say on the deck on this thing. It says it's a mulcher compatible. I just discharge with it, and I believe it may have came with a bagger at one point, because that looks like a bracket for a bagger. And this thing pulls a trailer quite well. I pulled a DR chipper with it, and I did pretty well pulling that. I wouldn't pull anything extremely heavy with these because the front end may come off the ground. And I would not mow on a steep hill with one of these, because if you do, the thing will tip, or possibly tip. And you don't want that. So the grass is too short right now, and it's dormant, so it's not really worth cutting with it. When the spring comes, when the spring hits or summer hits, I will be doing a mowing video, hopefully. So, and it does need a tire on one side. It's got a 0-turn smooth tire on one parts of the front. On the front here, it's got a 0-turn tire on one side and a tractor style tire or riding mower style tire on the other, because tractor tires are chevron tread tires or radial tread tires. Those are a lot different than what's on this. These are called turf tread tires on the back. That's another turf tire. That's a smooth, flat, smooth front tire for like a 0-turn or something, like a Toro. A lot of Toros have smaller front wheels on the residential models. So, and like I said, the only problem is it's very hard to start. Other than that, when you run it, it runs, and it'll start back up when it's been running. And the thing is, you got to be sitting on a seat for it to actually start, because if you don't, it'll backfire, or something like backfire, or it won't start. So you got to be sitting on a seat in order for it to start. So, and sometimes what I'll do, and I don't recommend doing this, is taking a fuel hose off, turning the engine over with a fuel pump, with the fuel pump line from the carburetor unhooked and turn the key a couple times, and it'll put gas into the carburetor, and you just put it back on and start. It'll start right up. But the best thing to do would be to have a small can of gas, because this thing is so hard to start when it has not been running for a while. Since the engine's warm, this thing should fire right up. Maybe. There it goes. So I'm just going to do a drive with it. There's your throttle. There's your throttle, your deck height, your blade engagement, your gear control lever, your parking brake down here, your brake pedal, clutch pedal. Yeah, and I added this light switch on here. Let's go ahead and put her in drive. Just going to give it some gas. We're in 5th gear. I like the visibility of this thing. I like how it's not very loud either. I will give the blades a spin, but